Now, I'm very pleased that we have here from Germany, Mrs. Triebel. Now, she works at Firearms United, the German Rifle Association as well. At the same time, she's the co-organizer for this wonderful event.
Frau Triebel.
Mrs. Triebel is in the 4th generation of having a company in Berlin, and she's probably that person who in Germany knows the most about German history of firearms and German legislation. So we're very interested in hearing what she has to say today.
Yeah, I try to speak in English, and please be nice to me if I make mistakes. When I saw the proposal, I missed the impact assessment. And I waited and waited and waited, and it didn't come. So in September, I wrote my own impact assessment to look for data and facts. Every impact is, first of all, I looked in the European Union guideline for impact assessments. You got a small paper with 2 pages. This is a small summary, and on the link, on the button of this paper, there's a link to a website, and there you will find 31 pages with data and facts. I studied all European Commission studies, both from July 2014 from the DG Home about alarm weapons and marking, the evaluation of December 2014, where I have been interviewed for Firearms United before, as well as the EU effect study, which was published in May this year, for 600,000 euros for 12 months, where I was also interviewed. So most of the things of the 30 pages are copies of the studies I've read, studies which the Commission paid money for, our money. So, excuse me. Every impact assessment begins with the question, what is the problem? And the Commission said, the recent terrorist attacks were coordinated across borders. We want to tackle the threat of weapons falling in the hand of terrorists, organized criminals accessing and trading military-grade firearms in Europe cannot and will not be tolerated. I think he will get support for these words from all of you. Why should the European Union act? We do not have a remote control, because the terrorists crosses border, the criminals with the illicit guns cross border, we need crossing border collaboration, crossing border legislation. The drivers, the suppliers, the traffickers and the end users cross the border, and they are mostly illicit. It's not the legal one, but we need European Union common rules. What should be achieved? Mr. Yussi Hala-Aho, who is a co-chair here, asked the new Commissioner, Sir Julian King, I think 2 weeks ago, what he thinks about the proposal. And Mr. King said, I'm enthusiastic about the Commission's position. I do hope that we will be able to find an agreement soon, and that agreement will restrict the circulation of fully automatic and converted semi-automatic weapons in a way that respects their legitimate use in different communities and different parties and societies. Legitimate use in the European Union for fully automatic guns have mostly our collectors, our authorized collectors. When the European Union study spoke about collectors, they meant hoarders, people who bought weapons out of the scope of the directive. Deactivated ones, alarm guns, salute guns. These were hoarders. Mr. Stephen Petroni is a collector. He has a gun license for every gun he is buying. He does not buy or smuggle in anything. There's a difference between authorized collectors and hoarders who smuggle in guns because they are interested in collecting. We heard a lot of numbers for the risk because Mr. Alexis, when he said, guns can people kill, military guns are made for killing, firearms are very dangerous. There are most dangerous firearms and less dangerous firearms. And he answered in February an email to a friend of us. His argument was the threat. 10,000 homicides in the last 10 years with legally held firearms. The first number we heard by Mr. Marini, who made the action plan in 2013, he said 5,000 annual killed people with firearms. When we corrected him, he went to 10,000 in 10 years. This means 1,000 in 1 year. He looked for 10 years, whilst the firearm rate, killing rate, the homicide rate dropped by 50%. So we are now by 800 or 900. The ESSC, the civil bridge between European Parliament and our civilization, spoke about 63,000 homicides with legally held firearms. There were only 66,000 homicides in the last decade, and only 17% with firearms. And out of these, only less with legally firearms. He deleted this phrase afterwards. I asked him where this fact should come from. But the most interesting fact was the one the Commissioner Elisabetta Bieńkowska said in May 2016. Here in the European Parliament, she said, in the last 10 years, 100,000 people have been killed with semi-automatic rifles which have been stored for legal owners at home. She raised the total homicide number. She put every homicide in the firearms branch and everything to the legal ones and everything to the semi-automatic ones. There is no problem of 100,000. There is no problem of 60,000 or something. As Mr. Lacuma said, legally held firearms are very seldom misused. Homicide rate dropped by 50% in the last 10 years. 17% of all homicides are made with firearms, legal and illegal. And this is now the, Verhältnis comparison. These are all homicides together in 1 year of 2012 in the European Union. You see the red one. These are the illegal firearms, which are not impacted by Firearms Directive. And there is a green point on top of it. You can see it in the web if you look in my papers. There is really a green top. It's 50 to 150 homicides in the European Union with legally held firearms, mostly in domestic relationship disputes where the victim is fixed, only the means is secondary. If you don't have a gun, you take a knife, a stick, a pillowcase, doesn't matter. Most of these shotguns, most of these legally held firearms, 50 to 150, were shotguns of category D or hunting rifles of category C. I can't see on this graph any semi-automatic firearms is very, very, very dangerous if she belongs to a legal gun owner. Excuse me, I have no water. If a law could prevent terrorism, then the bombing in Paris too, in Brussels and in Ansbach could not have happened. Because the European Union invented a track and trace explosive directive in 2012. It came into force in April 2015. For all legal explosives, this directive costs 40 million euros. We have to put every legal explosive with a serial number in our computer, and we have 24 hours, 7 days a week. We have to say who is the end user, who is a legal explosive. Nothing of this 40 million euros per year directive prevented Paris, Brussels or Ansbach. This for balance and costs. Could gun crime prevented by law? Okay, 2 minutes left. You can see everything on the site. We slide through. Slide. Just stop. Eins zurück. No, eins weiter. Noch eins weiter. Okay. You said all proposed measures are based on the studies, and the biggest study was the evaluation in December. The December evaluation looked on the other 2 studies, and the December evaluation gave 9 recommendations. 3 ones was the one Mrs. Sharasnova said, and we comply: a guideline for deactivated guns, a guideline for marking and essential parts, a guideline for alarm weapons. And the most important parts are not mentioned. Facilitate illicit ownership, for example, with minimized burdens for the illicit market or the European firearms pass. And you did not tell us that the evaluation said we need more data for broker and how a semi-automatic gun can be converted. We need more data for new technologies like online sales and 3D printers. We need more data for criminal offences. You made a next study in May, and this one said legal guns can deter crime. If you take away the guns, you may rise the gun crime. So, one of the study has 3 options, and the most important option is a baseline scenario. What happens if you do nothing at all? You can see the first 3 options in the study. I did not invent them. And then you can see the next options, the proposal of the Commission, the outcome of the trilogue for the 3 current positions, and our solution of Firearms United. Firearms United is for closing the loopholes, for a common database of conviction, not a database of withdrawal of license, because every country has different reasons to withdraw a gun license, but a conviction of murder, of burglary or fraud is a conviction. You can't do anything else. And one country decide, yes, this is against gun ownership, and the other said no. So we want closing the loopholes, marking deactivated gun alarm guns. We want the common database, and we want, please, give money to the police to tackle the illicit market.